Right now at 6, 9/11 remembrance ceremonies in the 4 states. How the PSU ROTC marked the 24th anniversary.
And we've got some scattered showers in our eastern counties. Otherwise, the majority of us dry, and we're looking at being hot, very hot later today. Details coming up.
Plus, members of Gen Z talk about the impact of 9/11, a day many of them don't remember.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News at 6 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is finally Friday, September the 12th. Happy Friday!
Yes, here we are.
We're going, and if you've got plans for the weekend, they need to include hydration. It is going to be quite hot out there, especially for this time of year, quite hot. But right now, it's not too bad. It's above average for the majority of us, but it could be worse. We've had those nights during the summer where we start at like 80 degrees at 5 a.m., so could be worse, but it is pretty mild. Let's start with that live look outside downtown Pittsburgh, where again we've got partly cloudy skies, otherwise looking pretty good. And again, the majority of us dry. Same from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline in Joplin, but there's something of interest out there, and it is this, the Skywatch Storm Tracker. So if you weren't with us earlier, so we had one, and we've seen this happen, folks. We've been through this together. We had one computer that said we could get some stray showers this morning in our eastern counties. One out of like a dozen. Didn't seem very likely, but it's that one that had it right, because here are those stray showers out there through St. Clair, Cedar, Dade counties, and we've even got one into northwestern Lawrence County out there as well. Not much expected from them, but we do have some heavier showers up around Osceola and starting to build in just to the north of Stockton and Stockton Lake. So we'll keep an eye on them just to see for sure what they do. But that one computer that said that these could be here also showed them dying out before we even get to the lunch hour. They may not last much longer, but for now they are there. And they are pushing to the south, but they've got this little development that's kind of taken off on the southwesterly angle. But the showers themselves moving off to the south. So we'll keep an eye on them. So at least some of us getting some kind of rain this morning. The majority of us will be dry. And as we head into the afternoon, all of us will be dry. We'll have just a few clouds here and there. It won't be until later this evening that we start to see the return of partly cloudy skies. So here's our temperatures. This is what I'm talking about. 69 in Joplin. Average low is close to about 60. We are sitting at 66 in Pittsburgh right now. Around the region, we do have some locations that are close to that. Miami, Jay, both cooler out there at 61. The rest of us, though, for the most part, into the mid to upper 60s. In fact, Joplin just updated now at 70 this morning. So upwards of 5 to 10 degrees above normal for the start of the day. And that's where our highs are headed as well later today. Kids heading out the door, getting on the bus, upper 60s, partly cloudy. And again, for some of our eastern counties, maybe a few light showers. Near 90 by lunch and recess time, and in the low 90s by the time they start to head home later today. We'll go mid 70s by 9, upper 80s by noon, and our highs today low to mid 90s with a southwest breeze at 5 to 10. So our average high is 84. So again, we're being 5-10 degrees above normal as we roll into the afternoon. We'll talk about how long this heat's going to last and about some other potential rain chances we have heading into the weekend here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, 24 years ago on September 11th, 2,977 people were killed in the largest terrorist attack in history. While those attacks took place in New York, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, their impacts were felt around the world, including right here in the 4 states. And every September 11th, people around the 4 states recognize and remember that day. The annual Patriot Day Remembrance began yesterday morning at 8 a.m. at Carney Smith Stadium. Cadets fired the cannon at the exact times of the attacks and collapse of the Twin Towers, then took turns reading the nearly 3,000 names of those who died for every name they dropped for a push-up. For one cadet, the tradition carries special meaning.
The idea of what we want today is to bring an emotional impact to help them remember why the nation came together, why it brought courage and unity that kept us strong and kept us pushing forward.
Now, first responders in the area took a group photo while the Pittsburgh Fire Department flew the American flag from its ladder truck. And more ceremonies were held across the 4 states honoring the heroes of September 11th. In Joplin, where Army National Guard Armory on 32nd Street hosted a 9/11 remembrance ceremony honoring the first responders who sacrificed their lives. Salutes were rendered, the American flag presented, and a processional walk by and moment of silence was observed for the victims of 9/11. The event featured a speech from Petty Officer First Class Ryan Jones and a reading of the 9/11 timeline. Well, more and more people are entering adulthood who either were not born or weren't old enough to remember that day. KOAM's Anthony Saviello speaks with them about how they approach the day and the meaning it carries.
At only 25 years old and a part of this world's second youngest generation, there's not much I can say when it comes to remembering the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. That being said, I've made it my duty over the past several years to understand more and more about how these events shook a nation and shaped it for the next 24 years.
So how do others in my generation remember the tragic events from 2001?
My mom's a teacher, so every time she talks about it, it's just like she was in her classroom and they all stopped their classes and turned on the TVs and just kind of watched it. And I feel like that's how my teachers explained it too, like in high school. But that's pretty much all that I feel like they've told me.
I wasn't alive during that time. I was born during 2002. But that happening a year before I was born has still affected kind of my life, right? It's affected how the country has been shaped since then.
It was such a disaster and like devastating thing that happened to our country, but also it brought people so much closer together and we were so united afterwards.
But can the same still be said today? In our world's current climate, when it seems we are growing further apart every day, how do we apply lessons learned from 24 years ago?
Even nowadays, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of differing opinions, differing views, but that's the culture of still being united. I think is still a possibility that we should really seek more, especially in our generation as we grow up and we decide kind of what issues are important to us and what stands to take. It's important to remember that in the end game, we're all Americans and we're all here united in the sense that we all love our country.
Think about what brought the country together, and I think now, obviously, with Charlie Kirk and the school shooting that happened yesterday, I think people are still too focused on all like Charlie Kirk's views and the things he said instead of he was a father and a friend and a decent man, and I think people need to focus on the human aspects of life instead of just the political views or other opinions that whoever people may have.
In Pittsburgh, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Memorials were held around the nation yesterday in remembrance of the 9/11 attacks. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather coming up on the KOAM Morning News. President Trump's 30-day takeover of D.C. police nears its end. Plus, artificial intelligence falls short in mental health prediction, and hot and sunny conditions across the 4 states this weekend. Chris has a look at your forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Time now 6:08. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from Carney Smith Stadium ahead of the Pitt State home opener. Well, topping Nation Watch, according to the D.C. Mayor's office, President Donald Trump's 30-day emergency declaration in the nation's capital city is set to expire at the end of the day, but the federal law enforcement surge is expected to continue. Julia Benbrook is at the White House with what changes and what stays the same.
There are several different parts to this. President Donald Trump deployed National Guard troops who are stationed in various areas across Washington, D.C., and at least part of that is expected to continue. But he also effectively took temporary control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police, something he's able to do under the D.C. Home Rule Act. Once the emergency declaration ends, Trump will lose his broad authority over the local police for federal purposes. But the federal law enforcement surge is expected to continue. Last week, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser signed an executive order requiring ongoing coordination with various federal partners, though Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the National Guard were notably excluded. White House officials tell CNN that Trump is fine with letting his 30-day D.C. takeover of the police lapse, arguing that order helps achieve their goals. Now, although the president has more power in Washington, D.C. than he does in other cities, Trump continues to preview next steps when it comes to his anti-crime agenda and immigration crackdown.
We're going to be announcing another city that we're going to very shortly. We're working it out. The governor of a certain state would love us to be there, and the mayor of a certain city in that same state would love us to be there. We'll announce it probably tomorrow, and it's going to be something where we'll do like we did here.
Data shows that crime in the nation's capital city has gone down over the last few weeks, but it's not the only area impacted. Tourism numbers also appear to have taken a hit. At the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
Well, as the Trump administration signals it may wind down direct control of D.C. police, federal enforcement remains on the ground, and the president continues to hint at expanding this approach to other cities. Experts say the lasting impact on public safety, local business, and tourism remains unclear. Well, still to come, important news for women who've survived cervical cancer, plus hot and sunny conditions this weekend. Chris returns with another look at your forecast. Good morning, I'm Elise Noe with your KOAM News update. Joplin police released new details about a fatal motorcycle crash that killed an 18-year-old. Nicholas Jones of Garden City died from injuries suffered in the crash Monday morning at 20th and Schifferdecker Avenue. The major crash team says Jones was riding his motorcycle north when he entered the intersection during a red light and hit a turning vehicle. The car driver was waiting to turn east onto 20th Street when the light turned green. The driver of the car escaped injury. And a suspected drunk driver leads Carthage police on a chase that ends with spike strips on Interstate 49. The pursuit began shortly afternoon yesterday when an officer tried to stop the driver in the city limits. The suspect fled north on I-49, then turned around and headed south where Missouri State Highway Patrol deployed spike strips to stop the vehicle. The Audi finally pulled to the shoulder near the 54-mile marker approaching the Central Avenue exit. Police arrested the male driver on suspicion of DWI.
And it's going to be a hot one out there, low mid-90s and just a few clouds. We'll have partly cloudy skies late this evening and overnight into the low 70s. And the heat continues low to mid-90s through the weekend. Maybe an isolated storm on Sunday. Heat index values could approach the upper 90s.
In Consumer Watch, the latest consumer price index shows inflation rose 2.9% last month compared to last year. There was a 4.4 increase from July to August. The report says the biggest drivers for the uptick were rising housing and food costs. The same day, the Labor Department also said jobless claims were up 27,000 last week compared to the week before, signaling that layoffs are also on the rise. And nearly 600,000 Toyota and Lexus models have been recalled due to issues with the vehicle's display panel. The Japanese automaker says the instrument screen could stay blank at startup, depriving drivers of vital indicators, which could increase the risk of a crash and injury. Owners will be contacted by mid-November to take affected vehicles to the dealership for a free repair. That's a look at Consumer Watch this morning. Let's take it on over now to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a decent start to the day. Got a few showers in our eastern counties this morning. Otherwise, hot and dry across the area. A full look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Time now is 6:17. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:19 on this Friday morning, and take a look at these showers that we've got. In fact, let me step over. We'll get a closer look at them for you. Again, we had one computer this morning that said that we could get some showers, and it was the one that was right. Nothing crazy expected, and that one computer suggests that they'll be done before the lunch hour. But we have some of these showers pushing into parts of St. Clair County around Osceola, then into the Osceola area right now, and then we go south into Cedar County, north of Stockton. We've got some light showers, and then we head back down into Dade County. We've got some additional light showers, and they stretch into parts of western Lawrence County as well this morning near Sarcoxie. And we've got a couple of newer showers here that are developing south of Sarcoxie, and then this one, it's kind of just out here, but it's just to the east of Stark City. Nothing major, nor are we expecting anything major, but again, out of the dozen computers, only one was expecting rain. But we've seen this happen before. You and I, we've been through this where that one is the one that was right. So we'll continue to see these showers. They'll continue to push off to the south. In fact, you can see where some of them are already kind of weakening. So they're not expected to last long, but a few of us at least getting some rain while most of us are dry. Well, partly cloudy skies out there, and even in some cases some mostly cloudy skies here and there through the morning, but by the afternoon we go to mostly clear skies, just a few passing clouds here and there. We are expecting to be dry. Now as we go into Saturday, it's still showing up, but it's still not enough to warrant rain chances across the area, like broader rain chances, simply because we're talking a shower, maybe late tomorrow afternoon, early evening in our far eastern counties, and that's going to be it. Now, if that changes, of course, we'll make the changes on our end, but right now it just doesn't look too impressive out there. The majority of us will be dry. Now, Sunday, we do have some slight rain chances at least. We have some isolated pop-up storm chances into the afternoon hours on Sunday along and west of the 75 corridor. And then later in the evening Sunday, mainly into Greenwood, Elk, and Chautauqua counties, we could get some scattered showers and storms. They don't last very long, as you saw. So that was 5. This is 8 now. But a couple of the lingering showers might make it into like Yates Center, Fredonia, before they die out as well. And they die pretty quickly. So not much expected on Sunday. For the morning hours, again, for our eastern counties, some rain showers out there. Otherwise, partly to mostly cloudy skies to start. 70 by 8, low 80s by 11 o'clock this morning. Eventually, highs today, low to mid 90s, and bear in mind average high is 84, so well above that. Southwest winds 5 to 10. Mostly clear skies through the evening, still very mild, low 80s by 8, near 80 by 10, but that's when we start to go partly cloudy again into the overnight. Overnight lows should be close to 60. We're at 71. Low 70s for most of us tonight. Now, a couple upper 60s certainly possible. Most of us in the low 70s. This heat continues. Second summer rolls on. Low to mid 90s all the way through most of, if not all of, next week out there. And so we could also see heat index values because pop-up storms, what do they feed off of? Well, the heating of the day and that moisture. But thankfully not oppressive heat index values, but still into the upper 90s. So make sure you're staying hydrated if you're doing anything outdoors over the next several days. Still looking at that system toward the end of next week, just not working as fast as it was working on some of the data of the last couple of days, but we should still begin to return to normal by next weekend. We just have several days right now where it's going to be some of the longest days we've got, going in the low to mid 90s. That is a check of your forecast. We're sending it over to Elise now with a check of Health Watch.
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, a new risk for survivors of cervical cancer. A medical University of South Carolina study found women with a history of cervical cancer have nearly twice the risk of developing anal cancer. Now, both cancers are caused by HPV. Now, thanks to screening and the HPV vaccine, cervical cancer now has a 90% survival rate when caught early. And AI is being used more and more in healthcare, but one thing it can't do is predict suicidal behavior. That's the new findings of a new University of Melbourne study. Researchers found current AI programs are not accurate at identifying people at risk for self-harm or suicide. Researchers say it's also difficult for clinicians to identify patients with a high risk for suicide. Well, a new study is uncovering the most effective ways to get your kids to bed. Research published in JAMA found among kids ages 9 to 11, homes with family conflict were linked to later sleep times and poor sleep quality. And in homes where parents monitored their kids more and limited screen time, children had better quality sleep. Sleep problems are linked to both poor mental and physical health. Well, the so-called kissing bug disease may be becoming an endemic in the U.S. Human cases of the potentially deadly illness have been reported in several states. Michael George has more.
A report is raising awareness about the spread of the potentially deadly Chagas disease in the U.S.
Kissing bugs are blood-sucking insects, just like mosquitoes and ticks, and they're responsible for spreading a parasite that can cause Chagas disease.
Dr. Sarah Hamer is a veterinary epidemiologist at Texas A&M University.
Chagas disease is certainly not new in the United States. We've had the kissing bug insect vectors, the Chagas parasite, infected wildlife, infected dogs, infected humans have all been around interacting for a long time.
The disease is already endemic to 21 countries in the Americas. Locally acquired human cases have been reported in 8 states.
I think it's important to emphasize that the risk is very low. This is exceedingly rare. So for most people, this is not something you should be worried about. The people who are at highest risk live in substandard housing, particularly in rural areas, and communities with limited access to pest control or screening. Hunters, campers, and other people who come into close contact with wildlife.
CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder says diagnosing Chagas can be tricky. A person may have no symptoms when first infected, or mild ones like fever, fatigue, and body aches.
Many people don't know that they have Chagas disease until the chronic phase, which can be many years later. About 20 to 30% of infected people can develop serious problems years later, which include an enlarged heart, which can cause heart failure or an abnormal heart rhythm. They can also develop an enlarged esophagus or colon, which may interfere with gastrointestinal functioning.
There are anti-parasitic treatments for Chagas, which work best when started early. Michael George, CBS News.
Dr. Gounder says the next step should be for the CDC to work with state and local health departments to do surveillance and educate doctors so that this is on their radar when they're seeing patients. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We're back with more news and weather right after this. Right now at 6:30, Joplin veterans get a one-stop access to benefits and resources at a local expo.
And we've got some partly cloudy skies out there, showers for some of our far eastern counties. We'll have a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, shovels hit the ground for Neosho County Community College's new Fine Arts Center.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:29, just coming up on 6:30. I'm Elise Noe.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is Friday, September the 12th here in the 4 states. Finally Friday, another week gone and in the books and inching closer to the end of 2025. Slowly
Hard to
but
believe,
surely,
yeah.
We are about ready to wrap up this year, and it is going to give us hopefully one more taste of summer.
Yeah.
Just one. We can't stop it. It's already started, but we need this to be the last one. Let's start though with a look outside downtown Pittsburgh. We've got it pointed back to the east-northeast, and take a look at those clouds off in the distance. They are there because we have some showers in our far eastern counties, which we'll show you in just a moment. MoDOT camera 20th and range line in Joplin, looking pretty good so far. And there's those showers. They are now stretching all the way down into eastern Newton County. So Newton, we've got Lawrence, Dade, Cedar, and St. Clair counties with these showers. Nothing crazy. And as we discussed this morning, out of all the computers, only one said that this was a possibility. And it was, of course, the one that was right. It's not always the one that's right, but every so often we've seen it where one of them says, hey, it's going to rain, and all the others tell it, nah, it's not going to do that. And it turns out he was right, or he or she, whichever. The computer could be either or all of the above. You never know. But the computer says, I was right. See, I told you it was going to rain, and there it is. So at least some of us getting some showers. Most of us will remain dry. And that one computer, though, that said, hey, it's going to rain, is also saying that these will be done before the lunch hours. So don't expect too much from them, but at least a few of us getting some showers out there. Otherwise, we are dry, partly to mostly cloudy as we head through the morning, and we'll have mostly clear skies rolling into the afternoon and evening hours. And you can see not much else happening on Future Track, at least through our Friday. Temperatures, we're at 69 in Joplin right now, 66 in Pittsburgh and across the region. Most of us, we should be about 60 for our average low. And you can see where we've got temperatures for the majority of the area, mid-upper 60s. We do have Jay, though, close to normal at 61. Miami and Grove not far behind at 62, but still the majority of us well above normal. Kids getting on the bus this morning. Again, our eastern counties, some showers. Otherwise, the majority of us partly cloudy skies, upper 60s, near 90 by lunch and recess time, low 90s as they head home. We're going to go mid 70s by 9, upper 80s by noon, and our highs today into the low to mid 90s. So if you're outdoors, just make sure that you are staying hydrated, and we'll have a southwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. This heat, unfortunately, is going to stick around for a while. We'll talk about that and maybe some weekend rain chances here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, Utah's governor says his state will pursue a death penalty case against the person responsible for gunning down conservative activist Charlie Kirk Wednesday at Utah Valley University. The governor says authorities have received more than 7,000 tips as the manhunt for the shooter continues this morning. Investigators are honing in on one particular suspect, releasing new surveillance video and enhanced photos overnight. CBS News' Jared Hill has the latest from New York. We do apologize for that technical difficulty there. We're going to head on to some local news this morning. A local Veterans Expo in Joplin is helping connect former service members with the benefit and resources they've earned. The event brings together agencies and organizations offering support with VA benefits, identification card services, and other programs veterans may not realize are available. One of the key focuses is suicide prevention, with groups on hand to provide outreach and assistance to those who may be struggling. Veterans say having all these services in one place makes it easier for them to access the help they need without traveling long distances.
Veterans, when they get out of the military, don't know what benefits are due them, and this is an opportunity for them to see in person the people that represent a lot of those benefits, and one-on-one with the people that they need to see to get their benefits that are, they need.
Resources that were included at the expo include housing, employment discounts, and a whole lot more. A groundbreaking ceremony yesterday celebrates a future fine arts center in Chanute, Kansas. The Me Family Fine Arts Center is a more than $5.5 million project at Neosho County Community College. KOAM Samantha Walker learned why college staff believe it will benefit not just students, but the entire community.
With shovels to the ground, Neosho County Community College is one step closer to getting a new fine arts center, a project decades in the making.
When I arrived on campus in 2003, I took the tour, we saw the auditorium and said 1968 was a long time ago, and it really hasn't been touched in that amount of time.
The current auditorium will be renovated and modernized with a new green room, scene shop, gallery, and courtyard.
We'll have all brand new equipment, LED lighting, state-of-the-art sound system, so we can really do theater tech training programs, which right now we can't really do because our equipment is so out of date. Enough room finally on the stage to actually have my music concerts in the new performing space without us being crammed into a corner.
A benefit to not only campus, but the community as a whole.
And now we'll have a wonderful flagship area of the college for those meetings to be a great representation of the college, but also of Neosho County as a whole.
The lead donation for the Fine Arts Center comes from the family of Miriam Mee, a former instructor and board member at the college.
They were such wonderful parents. We want to honor them and their memory and their great contribution to Chanute and the surrounding area.
Thank you for everything that you have done for this institution. Continue to do. Thank you so much.
Now they're still doing fundraising to try to cover the cost of the Me Family Fine Arts Center, like by letting community members sponsor a theater chair.
And you can see from our donor list how many people really care about this and want to make it a reality. So that has been really refreshing to us to see so many people that we see that this is something they know they've been needed for a long time and they want to be part of it.
Reporting in Chanute, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Now, the Me Family Fine Arts Center is expected to be completed by October of next year. Events are scheduled to begin in the new facility as early as that December. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Shannon Becker joins us in the studio with his Big 3 news stories of the week. Time now, 6:36. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Kearney Smith Stadium ahead of the Pitt State home opener. Welcome back. This morning we're joined by Shannon Becker with his big 3 news stories of the week. Shannon, good morning. He's always happy to have you.
Oh, well, thank you. Good morning to you.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the big 3 live and local stories, what's happening where you live. Number 3 this week in Anderson, Missouri. Over the weekend, a train struck a man on the tracks, actually.
Right.
They're saying that the gentleman was actually on the tracks and was struck by the train. The train was able to stop pretty quickly. It was an empty coal train. The man did die at the scene. They did release his name according to family now. It's been released. A 24-year-old man from Anderson was struck and killed there. More details you can find on our website. I know services are going to be for him tomorrow at Ozark Funeral Home. Right. Our number 2 story, Joplin News First. We were there for hours, as well as the police.
Right.
No, we didn't. A lot of people were like, why weren't you broadcasting? Well, for officer safety, we don't broadcast during a SWAT operation. Also, they don't want to gather a crowd. This was in Webb City. A man that was inside a residence was wanted on a felony probation and parole violation warrant. So that means that he did some things to violate his parole. So he'll most likely be going back to jail for a long period of time to finish out that time on his original sentence. Plus, he'll face more charges for resisting arrest.
Absolutely, yes.
And then our number 1 story, KOAM News Now, Monday morning, a tragic motorcycle crash at 20th and Schifferdecker. Yesterday, Joplin police released more details about what happened with the crash. The motorcycle operator, they say, ran a red light and struck the front of that vehicle. Tragic, even more tragic. The young man was actually had recently moved to Joplin, but is from near Harrisonville, Missouri, near Garden City, Missouri. Services will be for him tomorrow. Our bonus story, get your bikes out, get your bicycles. You know, you've been talking about it. I've been talking about it. The American Ramp Company, the designers, the creators of this big bike park, big part of it, it's really exciting. It's called the Momentum Bike Park. It's the largest municipal bike park in the state of Missouri.
Yes.
I mean, this is impressive.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Look at this. Wow.
So they're looking for people to help with trail names.
Yes.
So you can go on the website, you can find out more details. Bonnie and Ride. You like that? Like Bonnie and Clyde?
I mean,
makes sense. Some of the other ones, I can't remember off the top of my head. Doesn't that look like Chris on that bike there? You know,
yeah,
he's
I can see him doing that.
Chicken like that.
Yeah, a few energy drinks or some coffee, and he's going.
He can get a sponsorship with energy drinks. You know, the morning
let's
show
make it happen.
and his biking.
Yes, the Chris Warner Trail. We should make one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, there we go.
So that's hopefully going to open late this year or early next year. It's amazing. Cool. It's the Momentum Bike Park is inside the Dora Outdoor Recreational area center. So
what a cool opportunity.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Yes. And 3 of my kids work at American Ramp Company. Shh, don't tell. That's a secret just between all of us. And so they're all excited about it too. It's a really big opportunity.
Absolutely. It's so cool to see. Well, Shannon, as always, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Happy to have you. We'll be right back.
Time now for some Friday birthdays in the 4 states. We're going to start in Pittsburgh with Alexander Spann, celebrating the big number 1 today. Says, love mom, dad, big brother, and sister.
And in Frontenac, a happy birthday to Elizabeth McPherson, celebrating birthday number 2. It says here, happy birthday and love from mom, dad, and big brother.
And heading over to Carl Junction, where Judah Casey celebrating birthday number 6. Happy birthday.
And in Richards, a happy 24th birthday to Gus Kane.
And we'll head over to Nevada for Austin Pike, celebrating birthday number 32 today. Happy birthday.
And a happy 40th birthday to Define Long in Galena. It says, happy birthday from your husband.
And Denny Pack in Thayer, celebrating number 41 today. Happy birthday, Denny.
And in Girard, a happy 47th birthday to Mike Sisney. It says, love Missy, Evan, Aiden, Marley, Quinn, Mom, Gail, Jerry, and Diane.
And in Chanute, Laura Walsh celebrating number 68 today. Very happy birthday to you, Laura.
And in Chanute, a happy 70th birthday to Connie Turner.
And in Columbus, Lewis and Shayla Kellogg celebrating their 11th anniversary. Says happy anniversary from your family and friends.
And a happy birthday to Cindy Bugney in Frontenac.
And we've got Marie Romick in Columbus celebrating another year wiser. A very happy birthday and anniversary to everyone on our list. And if you want to celebrate with us, Police has information for you.
Yes, please submit your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@koamnewsnow.com. Be sure to include those wonderful photos and messages and meet the deadline at the bottom of your screen.
Very important there, and very important for you if you're in the eastern portions of our area, east of I-49, still technically east of 69 as well. We do have some scattered showers out there. As I've discussed this morning, one computer picked up on these, and it was correct. So here's what we've got. We've got some showers and even some heavier rain down into the southeastern portions of St. Clair County, and now back to the west and northwest of Osceola. We'll head south now down into Cedar County, Stockton, getting in on some shower activity, heading over to the Stockton Lake area. A couple of light showers to the west of that. Then we'll head on down to Dade County, where around the Greenfield area, some light showers as well. And we'll travel further south. We're kind of really just following Missouri 39 here. Back down now into Lawrence County. Some light showers up into the northwestern portion and southwestern portions of the county. So this is to the east of Sarcoxy, right over Wentworth and the small town of Berwick out there, so west of Monette. And so that also means we have some of them into eastern Newton County. And then we head down McDonald County and take a look there, just east of Anderson, stretching up along Missouri 76. Some additional little showers have developed out there. Now, the one computer that said these showers were going to happen also suggests they will not last much longer. And honestly, if you look at how they were when they kind of started and where they are now, while there are a few more of them, they are kind of on a weakening trend, so that should continue to be the case, and we should be done with these before the lunch hour out there. And of course, the majority of us today won't see anything from this, but at least some of us out east getting some showers. Into the afternoon we go. We are looking at mostly clear skies, and we'll have a southwest breeze, temperatures heating up across the area. And they will continue to do that over the next several days. Now, Saturday, again, right now, and it was the case yesterday, there is a shower chance that you can see maybe into parts of Berry County tomorrow afternoon, evening. But right now, this really looks to be about it if we see anything at all. So that's why right now we haven't put any rain chances in for Saturday, because we're talking it's less than a 5% chance out there. But we might get a little shower somewhere out east. Outside of that, we're still partly cloudy, still hot. As we roll into our Sunday, the heat will continue. We've got those partly cloudy, maybe even in some cases mostly cloudy skies. Then along and to the west of the 75 corridor, we could get a few isolated pop-up storms by the afternoon. And then by the evening Sunday, we do have at least a chance for some showers and storms into Greenwood, Elk, and Chautauqua counties after 5, but you can see they're very short-lived. This is by 8. Within 3 hours, they're now down just to some light showers, but those showers and sprinkles might make it into parts of Yates Center and Fredonia before even that begins to die out. So our rain chances over the next few days are slim to none, really. The one chance we have a pretty good chance of, unfortunately, is that summer-like heat. So here's a look at those clouds out east of Joplin. So that's from some of those showers we're seeing in our eastern counties. Partly cloudy skies for the rest of us, though. Around 70 to start the day and cruising up into the low 80s by 11 o'clock this morning. We got another look at your forecast here in just a moment. And, of course, your wake-up recap. And then we will see you at 7 a.m. on Fox 14. Or, of course, for those of you who are still streaming, all you have to do is stay with us on KOAM Plus. We'll be right back.
Well, this is your wake-up recap for September 12th. Your top stories to start your day. Joplin police release new details about a fatal motorcycle crash that killed an 18-year-old. Nicholas Jones of Garden City, Missouri, died from injuries suffered in the crash Monday morning at 20th and Schifferdecker Avenue. The major crash team says Jones was riding his motorcycle north when he entered the intersection during a red light and hit a turning vehicle. The car driver was waiting to turn east onto 20th Street when the green light turned. The driver of the car had no reported injuries. And Charlie Kirk, the 31-year-old conservative activist, died Wednesday after being shot at a speaking event in Orem, Utah. Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha accompanied the coffin on Air Force Two during its trip from Utah to Phoenix, where Turning Point USA is headquartered. A manhunt for the gunman is underway, and the Utah Public Safety Commissioner said law enforcement has good video footage of him. Law enforcement officials say the weapon used to fire the fatal gunshot was found in the woods not far from the campus. And a suspected drunk driver leads Carthage police on a chase that ends with spike strips on Interstate 49. The pursuit began shortly after noon yesterday when an officer tried to stop the driver in the city limits. The suspect fled north on I-49, then turned around and headed south, where Missouri State Highway Patrol deployed spike strips to stop the vehicle. The Audi finally pulled to the shoulder near the 54-mile marker approaching the Central Avenue exit. Police arrested the male driver on suspicion of DWI, careless and imprudent driving while revoked, and felony fleeing. Now to check out today's Wake Up Recap.
And we've got that summer-like heat. Few showers out there for our eastern counties this morning. Otherwise, the majority of us dry. Mostly clear skies into the afternoon. Low to mid-90s for those highs. Mostly clear through the evening. Partly cloudy late this evening and overnight. Still quite mild in the low 70s. And we'll stay in the low to mid-90s for the next several days into next week as well. Could get an isolated shower storm. Our western counties on Sunday. Could also see heat index values upwards into the upper 90s rather. So not oppressive, but still unexpected for this time of year, so make sure you're staying hydrated. You got anything you're doing outside over the next few days.
Absolutely. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making back-to-school cookies in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings basketball superstar Steph Curry joining the show to talk about his new memoir. It's called Shot Ready. That makes sense.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues this morning. Webb City Carl Junction Rotary Club honors first responders with 200 burgers on 9/11.
And we've got a lot more coming up at 7 a.m. as well. Lots of great stuff. Of course, that's only if you join us on Fox 14 in the next 3.5 minutes, because we'll be there for you. And of course, just remember it's going to be a bit on the hot side. So hopefully, if you got weekend plans,
You know, just enjoying the weekend.
Sometimes that's the best. Yeah. That's really sometimes the best plan is just to enjoy it. You might want to enjoy it from indoors, I guess, in the air conditioning. Air conditioning in September. Come on. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will be back here on Monday morning, bright and early at 5 a.m.
And we'll, of course, see you today at noon.